now listening to the Gabba Gabba Hunt Talks podcast, where we bring you conversations with people connected to the Carolinas underground music scene.
I made straight A's all through college. It was mainly just because I was hard working and stuff. So I come out thinking I'm smart as hell, you know. And stuff. But over the years, as I've continued to learn, I just feel like, God, man, the older I get, the dumber I am. Look at all. It's like I said, just like flips over, and it's like you get more questions than answers.
Yeah.
Over time, but it's fun too. It keeps you thinking and keeps you interested in everything that goes on and everything that comes to mind.
Yeah.
This kind of leads into the song, though.
Yeah, so
Fire and the Void.
Yep, it's a badass song for one.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. After hearing it 17,000 times to mix it, I'm not always so sure, but I like it. I listened to it right before I called you, just to make sure I knew what I was talking about, Stu, because I gave it a break for a few days. I'm proud of it.
It's a long song. It's 7 minutes long, but we ventured into that territory. I think we got a song that's right around 5 minutes long. I think it's Farmer Not. It's about 5 minutes long. So we ventured into that territory a little bit this time. So we're pushing those boundaries a bit. And I know that with ours, whenever we write those longer songs, it's usually like two songs. It usually starts off as two songs, and then they get pushed together as one. And instead of having like two 2-minute songs, we end up with one that's like 4 or 5 minutes long. Did any of that happen with this?
Yeah, kind of. The song started off with a little idea I had, and it's the very first part of the song.
Mm-hmm.
It's the song you can consider in 3 parts for the most part.
Yeah.
There's part 1, part 2, and part 3, and it's kind of obvious where one goes and the other because it kind of sounds like a song ends and another one begins, and that's why I've kind of pitched it as a mini EP of sorts.
Yeah.
And that was not on purpose. It's always been meant to be just one song, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Before we kind of shifted gears as a band and decided we were going to do a string of singles, it was going to be just another album track, but it's going to be kind of like the finisher on the album.
Yeah.
It's going to, wrap the whole thing up and take it home.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the song subject matter is kind of good for the last song on the record because it's about being really tired of the bad things that go on,
mm-hmm.
here on Earth, so you're going to leave it. You got a chance to leave it and start over elsewhere.
Yeah.
Which is a popular theme in human fantasy and science fiction. And
it's kind of like that cat in the cartoon that's pissed off at people, that people annoy the crap out of him, and he shoots himself to the moon, and then he gets up to the moon, and there's all this crazy shit up there that just annoys him even more than people. And he comes back to Earth, and he's like, I love people. Getting stepped on and shit.
Yeah, man. It is.
So that's a popular concept.
I've thought about it a lot. When I feel like a real outsider and a loner, and like nobody understands me, or just why can't things be better? Like why can't people be more decent? And stuff. I just think, God, I just like up and leave this motherfucker. And like people get silly and talking about leaving countries and things like that.
Yeah.
To me, that's not good enough, man. I've been to enough countries. I know you'd be trading one irritation for another and stuff. So I'm just like, you start a whole new fucking planet. Like, go to a whole new goddamn planet and live on that thing. And that wasn't the original concept of the song. My part 1, was an idea I was trying to flesh out, and it just never got very far. And I don't know how I got this idea, but I was going to have a song that was going to be called Stacks.
Yeah.
And it was just going to kind of be like one of them, like, greedy little gluttonous songs, Like, man, I sit here and disparage the rich and stuff a minute ago, but like it's a fantasy for everybody to be in a position where you have so much money you don't have to worry about money.
Oh yeah. I'd like to think I do more and better with mine, but
Yeah, I think I would too, but I would like to not have to worry about it because I think it would open doors for me to do all kinds of amazing things.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
the song was going to be stats, and it was going to be, it's like a Stooges type dirge, you know. It was just like all the things I liked. I wanted them in fucking heaps. Like I wanted damn piles of it, stacks of the shit, you know. I was kind of went through stuff with Money and whatnot. It just didn't get very far. Like Money made sense and nothing else did. Everything else sounded really stupid. And I don't mind being comical or silly, and we have been before on songs like You Ain't Coming Back. I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
And Brian had kept having this idea, and it's an idea he wants to flesh a little further. Where, you know, you have a song, but it just doesn't do the typical verse, chorus, verse thing. It has a whole another thing going on at some point, you know, or whatever. Even if it's like temporary, you know. So it was kind of a little experimentation of that. So it just blew up. Like I wrote the music for the first part for the most, except for his leads and of course Jordan's drums and the bass part and the main riff and the basic idea behind it was for part one was me. And then Brian did part 2 and part 3, and they're totally different, 2 different things. So it's like he did what he wanted to do to one song, then he did what he wanted to do to his own part 2. So it ended up being 3 parts, and it just come from a lot of jamming and trying to have fun, like at practices where we were like, you know, we're ready for that show. You want to work on some new stuff, but it seems like, you know, maybe nobody had a lot of ideas, you know, or something. We just kept doing just whatever come to mind, you know. It eventually formed into this song after a while.
Yeah.
And I somehow got the idea, I think it was because of part 3 sounding the way it did and kind of getting space rocky and kind of psychedelic. And I was like, man, I'm going to make this song about the fantasy of leaving Earth, you know. It's something I gave a lot of thought to because, like I said before, it's in a lot of science fiction, and it's kind of a cool fantasy, and it would, pioneers are like heroes in American culture, you know. You talk about the old West and this and all the people that went out West, you know, and it's just something that's kind of taught to us growing up, you know. So, like, in my mind, it's like people that pioneer space and all that stuff, they're even more incredible, you know. They went to the harshest environment ever, like one we were never intended to be in. So I like the idea that you could go somewhere else and colonize another planet, but I don't believe in it. Like, I really don't at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To me, it is a fantasy, and I think it kind of should remain a fantasy. Like, I just think we should learn to live within the carrying capacity of this planet. And sometimes I wonder if things like the sickness that's going around is like we've hit a limiting factor. You know what I mean? There's too many of us.
Yeah.
You know, and a lady I seen was being interviewed, and she talked about habitat destruction and how that could have possibly led to COVID-19 spreading into humans and things, you know. And man, there's this whole story that somebody ate a fucking bat or whatever, right? But from what I understand is that there was an intermediate animal. There's a bat, and then there's another animal, and then the secondary animal is what humans ate. You know what I mean? If you know anything about damn bats, you know, they bother other living things sometimes. To me, it's just totally possible cattle or, you know, a pig or chicken or something even got infected and a human ate it, and there you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just wonder, man, you got habitat loss and habitat destruction, and you've got animals, and, you know, and man, in my neck of the woods, I live out in the middle of nowhere, but there's been logging in there and stuff. Man, I see the animals like on the run from one place to another. I witness them. I see them having less space, and they're kind of on my land now. A lot of animals, and I'll let them be here, you know. Man, I love to shoot guns and stuff, and I quit shooting because I was afraid I'd shoot the animals accidentally. I'd shoot off into the woods where it's safe and in a direction away from any people, houses and stuff. I don't want to kill anything, but anyways, I'm just like babbling on, but I kind of want to paint the picture, you know. I thought about this silly ass concept a lot, you know, about going somewhere else. Yeah. So I just had to write a song about it, you know.
So you guys, I guess, finished this up like just right in time before all this lockdown stuff happened.
Yeah, all the recording right before it became. It was like the weekend before, and then I went to work for like a whole week, and then it, you know, I think it might have been Saturday, you know, just normal Saturday, and we got told, you know, you ain't coming back to work.
You ain't coming back.
Man, I'm trying to focus. I'm just having such a good time talking. And
Yeah.
it was grass mowing day, so I've been drinking. I'm outside and it's getting dark and it feels so good out here. It's like nature's air conditioning. So I'm thinking a lot about this whole moving to another planet stuff. I like nerding out on that, man. People talk about like terraforming and stuff. Like you go to another planet and you plant so many damn plants and get them going and you create an atmosphere and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And they talk, man, there's other challenges that nobody ever talks about. And, there's a lot you get into, but I always think about gravity.
Yeah.
Unless a planet is the same damn size as the Earth, the gravity's going to be different. Either the planet's small and you got less gravity, or the planet's big and you got a lot more gravity.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge for people. How's that going to change people? How's that going to shape human evolution if you colonize another planet and live and are successful there? Like, what's that going to do to us in the long run?
Yeah.
It's cool. Man, some of them, like, Rosetta paintings and things like that are really fantastical, involve other planets and stuff, and then you see, like, the ripped-up characters fighting and stuff. I always imagine, like, man, on that planet, there's some killer-ass gravity. Everybody's all naturally that fucking ripped up, working against that gravity all day.
I never thought about it like that.
Man, I promise you, I'm going to get more to the point here. But, all right, so the first part one of the song is, like, from the perspective of, okay, scientist that's going to make this happen. Like, he's just kind of doing this independently and somehow has the means. But it's a small-scale thing, man. He's just coming up with this one operation, and he tells why he's doing it. People here on Earth are fucking the place up. They're not respecting it, and now everything's in turmoil because, like, reaching carrying capacity. And if you read about carrying capacity in science, they will go into what, like, if an ecosystem is, if the organisms in it have
depleted the resources.
Carrying capacity, the animals act crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of bad stuff happens to them, and their behavior changes wildly. And like, I think people are doing that to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So that's part of that, and then the second part two, is like kind of like guy convincing his love to do that with him. Let's take this trip. Let's get the fuck out of here. Like, it ain't worth it to be here no more. It's so bad. I mean, of course, like in my song, things are way worse than they really are in real life. I'm actually fairly optimistic.
Yeah, me too.
Considering what all the human race is up against, mainly ourselves. But,
Yeah, exactly.
But and then man, part 3 of the song is just like, it's almost like the part of 2001: Space Odyssey where the astronaut is going to Jupiter and seeing all those crazy colors and sights and saying, But yeah, man, sometimes I've been unsure about this song, but like, God, man, we really stuck our necks out there. But we've spent a lot of years going, we'll do whatever we want. It don't matter. Because we've talked about what do we want to do, just like all bands do. And you say, well, we don't want to do that. Do we want to come off like this, or do we? And man, it didn't take long of talking and us becoming close and becoming a band, and we were just like, we can do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
And if you may not like it, so nobody should consider this song like a departure or some new thing or anything, just because it's a little bit different than some of the rock and roll we've done before. It's still us, and when you gonna hear some of the
it's definitely got the Warboys sound to it, and anybody that's seen you live has heard some of this stuff live too. So it's got
a new song.
It's got the sound to it, and I like the way all the parts just kind of, they work together, but they are different. And it's really good, and you record it. It sounds so good too. It's just really good sound.
Yeah, every song's going to be different, But, I think you're right. I think anything we would do, you would hear us. It doesn't seem like a total change of direction.
Like with the new Van Huskins, I kept thinking, man, this sounds kind of different, but at the same time, it sounds like us. It's just, we're showing growth, and that's what a good band is going to do.
Yeah, man, that EP rules.
I mean, you can be the Ramones and put out the same record a bunch of times, and they'll all be excellent records. Or you can grow a little bit, and you don't have to like give up the principles you founded the band upon to grow. You don't have to sell out or become a completely different band. You can just, expand your sound and still be the same band.
Man, there's so much music we like, so we can't help what seeps in and what we do. That's why we've just kind of been like, man, we ain't got nothing riding on this. We ain't got nobody to impress or anybody to make sure we keep happy. It's like people like us. They like us, man. If they stop liking us, that's okay. It ain't like we're going to take any steps backwards. Everything's just going to keep going forward. We realize we got perfect artistic freedom, so might as well utilize it, Don't be worried about it.
And that's one thing I think I've mentioned I know it's been mentioned on the podcast before, but one thing I like about the bands in this area is everybody's willing to try different things and expand and not really necessarily stick to one particular genre, maybe, or everybody's willing to experiment a little bit, try to push themselves out of their comfort zones, and it works well in this area. It really does.
Yeah, I think the bands around are really honest.
So you got Brandon's back on this one. I know he was out of the band for just a little while, so it sounds like he fell right back in. That's good.
Yeah, he really did, man. It's almost like he wasn't gone.
Yeah.
At the same time, we missed having him. He just needed to quit for a while.
Yeah,
straighten some things out, get some shit done. And I think at the time it was real uncertain whether he'd ever come back, and maybe understood he wouldn't. You know, it happened again, and we're glad. Me and Cody, the guy we had for a minute, was fantastic, man. He was so good. But it changed the sound a little bit. Kind of took a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is kind of what we sound like now, for a different guy on bass. But Brandon come back, and I kind of actually was happy about that in that way, too. I think, man, this is kind of what we're supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's definitely not a dig at Cody at all, man. And he was fantastic. I'd have been just as happy with him playing with us forever. But
he just a little overextended, and like you said, Brandon's like family anyway. You said that on your episode of the podcast, and so it's kind of cool to have that all back together.
Yeah, that's the thing too. The band really is a family affair. There is some kind of little thing going on there, from Brian and Brandon being brothers and playing together, and then Jordan and Brandon playing together years before I played with any of them. Me and Jordan playing together years before he played with either of those guys. Like, that has a lot to do with what I was just going into. There's just some kind of little feel that is just a tad bit more, preferable. And it's just good. It is good to have him back. I mean, he's totally agreeable, and he plays good as hell, man. It was so easy to get his tracks on this.
Yeah.
It was just like painless. Man, really, other than mixing, I think this whole process was painless on this song.
Yeah, I know you mixed it for a while, so
it took a minute. There's so many little aspects and little intricacies, and I decided, man, this song was an experiment kind of in the first place, and kind of let's go wild kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like throw chance to win, just do what comes out and see how it goes, and it turned out good as a song for a band to play and to play live, and then it turned out really good as a finished song recording, but it needed some other things, and man, the ideas changed a lot over time too. I had different ideas for the very beginning part. That's like that whole dissonant orchestral thing, I had different ideas for that. I had like strange instruments. I had these little forks. They have different tones, and like a rubber mallet that you hit them with, and that's going to make these outer space sounds with them. But some other influences creeped in. Like I mentioned 2001 Space Odyssey earlier. There's these parts in that movie you show like a planet, or like kind of like that picture of the monolith and a planet behind it or something, and you'll have like this like really dissonant orchestral thing. It's like strings, but it's like unnerving sounding, And I was like, I got really sick like months ago, and I remember you talking to me about it, and it was like funny because like I don't think I was contagious to anybody or anything, but my lungs were congested and my ears were messed up, especially one ear.
Yeah.
It just sucked, man. I was tired all the time. It sucked to talk, because as soon as I talked, I'd get all stuffed up, whereas I wasn't stuffed up before, and I had lung congestion. I was confident. I took antibiotics for it and it didn't do anything. So then they put me on a steroid, which did end up working. But while I was on the steroids, which I'd never been on before, oh my God, man, it just made me a chatterbrain. Like just, and just strange urges. Like, man, I would get so hungry that I would imagine like running into the woods and running alongside animals and biting them on the neck and like, killing them like I'm an animal and like eating, just, I didn't like it at all, but I was taking the medicine to get well because I was really tired of being sick.
Oh, yeah.
Like 10 weeks. And that's kind of how a lot of the little trippier, more production stuff came about on that song. One day when I was like right in the throes of them steroids, because like usually I'd take my dosage and I'd make sure I took it after I got home from work or something, or like right when I was leaving work, because work's not a good place to be on that kind of medication because it made me hungry and mad, and I was just like going on that medicine, and I was like, man, I don't think my little tone forks and rubber mallets bullshit is going to fly on this. I was like, I better get on a keyboard and figure out something, and the first thing that came to my mind was like, do some dissonant chord weird shit, like, pick like the string sounds, the best string sounds this thing has, and see if you can do like the 2001 thing. And I thought, there's no way I can do it.
Yeah.
So I don't play keyboards. I don't know nothing about playing piano or anything. I'll look at a keyboard and I'll kind of like think of it like guitar in my head. I'll say, okay, well this is this. That's this. I'll think about the guitar and if I was to do that on guitar, what is that on here?
Yeah.
And I'll figure it out and play a little bit. I'm totally uncoordinated and goofy on it, but man, I thought I'll never figure that out, And I did. I figured that shit out. And I was just like, man, if I don't record it now, and when I say figured it out, I also don't mean that I figured out something that I heard in the movie.
Yeah.
It's a totally different thing. And I had to go back and watch the movie. I got like paranoid for a minute. I was like, man, I bet I ripped something right off. Nah, man, my shit ain't even close to what all that stuff sounds like. But I did it, man. And also that night, I did a lot of other things. There's a cool bass part that Brandon does in part 3. There's like a break, and it's totally different. Music's totally different before it resumes kind of the typical part 3 riff and stuff. And I played the hell out of that on that keyboard, and then did some other things. And I added some of during the noise part at the end, I added some keyboards. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's kind of a baritone string part.
Yeah.
And it's like a moaning. So yeah, I don't think I've ever played keyboards on a record. I've recorded keyboards and Farfisa organs and shit, but I ain't never played them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure about that. I think this is my first time.
New credit for you.
Yeah, I have to put that on Discogs.
Yep.
I was talking a whole lot about how as a band we can decide to do whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
But we haven't got too crazy. We're not going to do everything we could do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's been some cool little jams outside of our usual genres and stuff we've had at practice or whatever. But man, unlike other bands who are like, oh, we can do that. We should definitely do a song. We're just like, no, I mean, we still do have a lane to stay in. I talked a lot about we can do whatever we want, but within reason, like,
Yeah. I mean, same for us. And like we do the same thing. We'll have those jams at practice, and we'll get finished, and they'll be like, "Man, that was cool," but it doesn't sound like Van Huskins. And Ben will be like, "I don't know, man. We can use pretty much whatever we want to for Van Huskins." I'm like, "Yeah, but can we really? No."
Man,
and so I've been talking about doing like a solo project thing where I write some music, and Ben's like, "Well, don't keep it for the solo project. You keep it for Van Huskins." I'm like, "Ben, not everything has to be a Van Huskins song." You know, we can do
It
some.
doesn't seem like y'all are having any trouble coming up with great shit for Van Huskins. So
Yeah, that's the way I feel. I'm like, let's just, let's push the boundaries and let's do what we want to do. But I don't want to like, if I'm going to write a stoner rock song, I don't want it to be a Van Huskins stoner rock song. We find ways to incorporate that anyway, but it doesn't want to be like a blatant, Queens of the Stone Age sounding song for Van Huskins. It's not going to work.
One thing we did do different this time is we used different guitar tones than what we typically prefer. I really like, it's not one of my primary things. My main primary guitar sound, and mine too, is we really like a good, like almost like classic rock guitar tone, like overdriven, but not to the point of like metal distortion or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like on a lot of our recordings, it's actually, if you could actually see how clean we were playing, you might be kind of surprised, because it comes off a lot heavier, but just for us, we just found we sound better with a little less distortion, a little more definition, but it always comes across better. Like it just seems like if you have a little bit of distortion when you record, it can seem like it can be perceived as a lot.
Yeah.
So we dial it back a lot of times, but this time we're just like, let's just go full on like fuzz bomb, man. Let's turn on big muff pedals and go berserk.
Yeah.
Which, man, I'm gonna tell you, this is pretty cool. I was really trying to push Brian towards some kind of fuzz pedal to use, because I was like, I'm going to do it, man. I use the green Russian Big Muff reissue. I've got a black Russian one from like the 90s. My wife has the bass Big Muff, which I borrowed. Brandon used that. So I told Brian, I was like, man, why don't you use this Russian, or I'll get a hold of like one of the standard Big Muffs, and you can use it,
Yeah.
And he didn't really resist me really hard, but I also didn't push him. And when it come down to it, he just preferred to get a sound with his amp, and he ended up doing it with his amplifier. Dude, like he's got a killer amp, man. He's actually got 2 really killer amps, man. He can pretty much go anywhere he wants with them things, man. And they ain't no joke. He's got some holy grail shit.
Yeah.
I don't know the nomenclature of them or nothing, but one's an orange and one's a Marshall, and they're fan-damn-tastic.
Yeah.
And so yeah, man, he did something a lot of people wouldn't do on that kind of song with them kind of tones. He got it without a silly ass pedal.
Yeah.
Which blew my mind, man. I was just like, yes. Man, he just generally blew my mind during the recording of this song, because when it came down to the solos, I think that he had a lot of possibilities in mind. I mean, I think he about tried them all. It just blew my mind, man. He could just switch from one solo to another, and then be like, man, what do you think about that? And like everything was like really damn good, know. Like it's like, but he worked through it and picked them, the ones, and kept the ones that were the ones, I was just impressed, man, because I'm the kind of guy, if I'm gonna do a solo on a song or something, man, I'm gonna pre-write it. I'll make sure it's perfect, and that's the only one I'm gonna be able to do.
Yeah.
He was like, well, what if I do this? What if I do, Till he got solid gold. Man, he didn't even make all the tone. Every solo tone is different for him on that.
Yeah.
It's just having fun, man. That used to be the kind of thing I'd be like, no, we can't do that on recording, man. I'll have to mix in every solo. It'll be all this extra work. This time I was just like, man, it all sounds good. It works,
Yeah.
It was just fun, man. This is a good exercise. I mean, in some ways, I'm surprised it came out to be a good sounding and good song, because we really threw a lot of caution to the wind and just said, fuck it, let's have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the next ones, though, because I do think this one is a little outside of what we kind of normally do, and some of the other songs are a little bit more standard type stuff for us. But at the same time, like you were saying about the newer Van Huskins and advancement, definitely evidence of a band bettering itself. Like the songwriting's better and the playing's better.
And you can still tell it's the same band. Like if I heard that song and didn't know that you put it out, I'd go, that sounds like the Warboys. Or I'm sorry, that sounds like Warboys. I said D that time.
No, I don't care. I told you I ain't picky about that.
Yeah, I know. I catch myself doing it a lot with different bands, and as soon as I say it, I'm like, oh crap. Or I'll say like
people are talking about us.
So sometimes I'll say like Body Bags. And it's like, oh no, they're the Body Bags.
I don't think bands that are the bands care if you leave the off either.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
I don't think it really matters. I don't mind when people call us the Van Huskins. So whatever. I'm okay with it.
Oh, I want to talk about this. I knew there was something. The artwork. So I've become a fan of collage over the years, you know. Like, since I got on Instagram, I discovered this guy called, his name's Dan K. Miller. He does fantastic collages. And I've seen some that ended up being album covers. And I always wanted one of his, you know. And I have talked to him before. And I want to use one of his pieces of art. We just ain't got to the song I want to use.
Yeah.
You know, I got a piece picked out and everything. Just ain't got to that song yet. And I would like to do that. But in the meantime, I got turned on by all these other collage artists, you know. And I really like the ones that, I don't know, they just make scenarios that could never happen, or they make like other worlds like with the collage, you know, like. And somehow I stumbled on this other artist called, I may be mispronouncing it, but I believe it's Amio, Amio. And this is a lady in Croatia that does collages, and a lot of them consist of what appear to be clippings out of old, like communist era Eastern European magazines or something. You know, like that's what like the clippings of like people and like half of the places are. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then the background, like the skies are always some kind of awesome planetary or moon thing. You know what I mean? Just like crazy otherworldly backgrounds, you know. I want to say she does most of hers like, it's a lot of digital goes into Amio's work, but it makes it really surreal, you know. Just feel like you're looking at a real scene. And when I saw this one piece of art, I was just like, man, that's the one for Fire in the Void. It was like, God. And I wrote her, man, and worked it out, and it was easy, man. She was such a joy to work with, but
that's awesome.
Ended up having some of our best art, you know, through just making them connections with other artists out there in the world, you know.
And it's a cool picture too.
It is, and it kind of fits, man. The whole like sun with the black center is like, it's almost like it represents the void, and the corona on the outside of it's like the, you know, the fire.
Yeah.
The song title "Fire in the Void" is just means a star. You know what I mean? That's what the song was talking about. You know, and the certain star is the source of energy for this new place. You know, like in science, you know, there's like this question that'll be asked, and everybody should know it. And it's, what's the ultimate source of energy for all life on Earth? And it's the sun.
Yep.
You know, and the plants are like the intermediate that take that solar energy and put it into chemical energy that can be handed on to the rest of us living things, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why that, you know, thinking about a new place to live out there somewhere, you know, you got to consider that, the sun, and, you know, the star that acts as the sun for this new planet, where this planet is from it. It's a little bit nerdy, man. I don't want to make it sound like some geek song or something, but I did put a little bit of my science knowledge in you know, it inspired it, man, you know.
Yeah.
But man, like I said, for all the fantasy that goes into that kind of thing, I really would like to see us just living within our carrying capacity for the planet, you know.
Well, maybe I've seen a lot of people saying that maybe, and it's a meme that's going around about how the humans are the virus or whatever, but you do see all these things about these places where they're usually you can't see the sky for the smog, and all of a sudden there's blue skies you can see, and so maybe the Earth is doing a little bit of cleaning up.
That's another reason I don't like it so ideal. We'll just go to this other fucking planet and plant a bunch of fucking plants and things will be good. Like you can't mimic the biodiversity that exists here naturally. I just don't think you're gonna match it. You're not gonna even come close. And like you're gonna have a fragile as fuck system supporting life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I guess that needs to be. I might do Fire in the Void Part 2. Fuckers got away and was having a great time, but their shit was unstable.
Yep.
Moral of the story is you better live within.
You're gonna be like that damn cat. You're gonna be like that cat coming back and then getting stepped all over, going, "Oh, I love it back here." People, I love people.
That's nuts, man. I'm with you, man. I hope a lot of good stuff comes out of this experience, but I really hope better environmental policy comes out, and I hope that also that all of society realizes that a lot of people, they've been like kicking sand in their face, or people that we rely on, you know? Like,
yeah. I just know I hear the rich taste delightful, so I'm looking forward to that. This has been a Gabba Gabba Hunt Media production.